Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I hope you guys are doing fantastic out there today. I've got an interesting video for you today. We're going to talk about the little red binder again. We got Alone, Grizzly Mountain, Season 8, Episode 9. This video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen that episode, I highly recommend that you turn this video off. Go watch that episode and then come back and watch my thoughts. We missed a week of Alone because of the Olympics. So we're here, we've got episode 9. This was a fantastic episode. The name of the episode was The Troll. We have 4 people left. We've got Coulter, Biko, Teresa, and Clay. So the screen, you know, we have the quote on the screen. It says, "We have nowhere else to go. This is all we have." This was Margaret Mead, and for what I understand, she was an American cultural anthropologist. I don't know much about her, but I thought that that was a very interesting quote. Now let's go ahead and get started. It is day 38. Pause for a second and just think about that. Day 38. Day 38. These people have been living on minimal calories. So keep that in mind as you're sitting at home eating while you're watching the show. Just remember that there are out there on minimal calories. We're starting with Biko. It's a little bit after noon, day 38. 10 degrees Fahrenheit outside. It's snowing. He's singing in his shelter about the cold. He's got a beautiful voice. It's windy outside. He's got airflow coming in from the outside. So he decides he wants to chink his shelter. He goes out and gets some moss and he's putting it in the cracks to stop the flow of air. From what I understand, the location that they're in the coldest part of the winter, it's not uncommon to get to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's crazy. So he's chinking this shelter. He wants to stop heat loss through convection, which is wind or airflow. If you stop that wind, the wind chill factor stops also. He's got a beautiful shelter. Let's move forward to day 39. I'm going to tell you, in this episode, they starting to really move through the days quickly. Day 39, a little bit after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we're talking about Coulter. He decides he's going to go fishing. He finds a bird floating up from the lake. This bird is dead, and he's lost 65 pounds since day 1. 65 pounds. That's like a whole person. That's crazy. So he sees this bird. He's skinning the bird. The bird is full of worms. And the worms look like spaghetti or something. It's crazy. It's like white or clear looking spaghetti looking stuff. Crazy. Now he said something very smart. He said, "I'm going to boil this for a long time. I'm going to boil this for a long time." I'm going to repeat that, right? And now let me repeat something else. Let's not forget that they're on day 39 of calorie deficit, right? So some of you are going to say, "Well, I can't believe he's going to eat that bird. It had worms." We're on day 39. We're on minimal calories. He took a risk. I probably would have done the same thing. I would have probably smelled the bird. If it smelled okay, I'd have cooked the hell out of it just like he did, and I would have probably taken a little bite, just like a sample, to see how that tastes. That's exactly what Coulter did. He did it very cautious. He said, I'm going to take a risk, and then he eats the bird. He says it was delicious. So now he had some protein in his body. These deposits that they make, these food deposits, they go a long way out there when you're surviving. Day 40, 10:43 in the morning, we're talking about Teresa. She made a coat prior to going out on alone. She made this coat for alone. She made a parka, beautiful parka, got the hair around the hood, beautiful. I mean, she done a fantastic job. She's out there foraging, looking for rose hips, but it's difficult because, you know, they've had snow and it's freezing and stuff like that. And at this point, she's lost 18% of her body weight. That is crazy. She said she wants to put my, I'm speaking as if I'm her right now. I want to put my fish trap out in the water. She wants to deploy her fish trap, her fish funnel. She made a beautiful trap. The method of deploying this trap, what she's got is kind of like a clothesline. She's got a rock out there in the water. There's a line that comes up. It's made out of her fishing line. The line comes up, it comes back, and then she ties the fish trap here, and it's like a continuous loop. So she's kind of feeding the trap out there, and she gets it out there, and then it kind of gets snagged. She's pulling on it a little bit, and the line breaks. This is fishing line. Things happen. I don't think we can knock her for that. It's a little bit after 2:30. The water's 40 degrees Fahrenheit. She wants to go fix that. You know, this is a technique that she's using as an effort to try to bring calories into her body. So she wants to repair that line that just broke, that fish line. So she takes her clothes off with the exception of her underwear, and she wades out into the water, 40-degree water. It's cold, there's snow on the ground. But again, we're on day 40, right? This is a risky situation. Could she get hypothermia? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. I probably would have done the same exact thing. She got into the water probably mid-thigh depth and fixed the line, got the fish trap launched, did a good job. She talks about missing her parents. Now we're moving forward, still day 40, 3:30 in the afternoon. We're talking about Biko. He makes a gill net. He makes a gill net on day 40. They're not allowed to launch gill nets until day 45 for some reason, some kind of local fishing law or something. So he makes a gill net, and he said something that is very smart, something that I can completely relate to. He said, at this point in the game, it feels like the days last a long time. They just drag on and on. The days just take forever. And I agree with him. When I do my multiple day, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 day challenges, it does get that way. These days go on for a long time. Things slow down. It's crazy how that feels. He made a really nice wooden spoon. He decided on day 41 now that he wanted to make a shelter spear. Looks really nice. And he did something very smart. He decided to keep himself busy with tasks, with things. Just let me do this, let me do that. Just keeping himself busy. I think that's very smart because it keeps his mind occupied on little tasks and crafts and whatever he's making, whatever he's doing. The more you can stay busy doing something, the less time your brain has to process the fact that you're missing your family, or that you're starving, or that this or that. All these things that could haunt you out there, but staying busy is kind of like a technique used to get rid of those thoughts or feelings, at least to some extent. So I think he's doing a great job. Day 42, he cut a piece off of his belt. Remember, he's lost a lot of weight, Biko has. So he's got this excess belt now because his waist was bigger when he first got there. So he cuts this belt material, this leather or whatever, and he makes a knife sheath. Remember, he forged a knife out there from an old rusty nail that he found. Well, now he makes a sheath for this knife, and he's got like wire or fishing line or something, and it is hanging from his belt now. Very cool. Very, very cool. And then on day 44, he says, I'm becoming the troll. So he decided that he wanted to make a sign that says Troll Cave. I love the guy's character. I love the television that he's given us, the story that he's telling. His voice is amazing. I just really like Biko. He's doing a good job out there. Moving forward, we're still on day 44. Talking about Coulter now. He's also making a gill net. He says, I'm going to make 5-inch holes, 5-inch diamond gill net. So that's the size of fish that he's hoping to catch with his gill net. He made it out of fishing line, and he used pieces of wood, little pieces of wood as floats. Where if I look back at Biko's gill net, it appears to me that he made his out of the inner strands of paracord, where Coulter is making his, at least it appears that it's made out of fishing line. So big difference between those two gill nets, I think. So about 8 o'clock at night, day 44, Coulter finally finishes his gill net. He'd been working on this thing all day. Crazy. Day 45, Coulter, 2:30 in the morning. He says, it's gill net day. He says, I feel that my boat needs attention. So he decides that he's going to go check his boat. It's windy outside. He needs his boat to launch his gill net. So about 4:50 in the morning, Coulter's down there checking on the boat. He noticed that some of the knots were loose. He said it's in bad shape, but he feels better now that it was a good decision that he went down to check his boat. And he's glad that he came and checked it. And now, apparently now he made some little repairs or something, the boat's okay. So moving forward, 8:02 in the morning, day 45, we're talking about Biko. He's going to go launch his gill net. It's been weeks since he's had meat. In fact, it was 26 days since he's had meat. He cuts a small sapling down, a small tree, I don't know, 3 or 4 inch diameter, maybe 2.5, something like that. Cuts this tree down, and he's going to use this to help launch his gill net. And at this point, he's lost 68 pounds. 68 pounds. That's a small person. That's a lot of weight to lose. But remember, he was the biggest one of all 10 of them. The log is going to float on the surface of the water. He's got stones holding the gill net down. Very smart. And it looks like that his net was made out of the inner strands of paracord, like I said earlier. He wants his dad, who was a Marine, to be proud of him. There's no doubt in my mind, Biko, if you're watching, that your dad's proud of you. I mean, you're killing it out there. Your personality, your singing, you got that little thing in your nose. You're just great for television. And if your dad is not proud of you, I don't know what's wrong with him. Because if I was your dad, I'd be proud. I'm not that old. And then the next thing you know, Biko sees 2 bears they're out there swimming. So he's yelling at him, hey bear, get out of here. You know, yelling at him, get out of here, bear. And then he gets his air horn and he gives it a couple blasts and he's yelling at the bears, and they leave. Moving forward, we're on day 45 still. Yeah, Biko's yelling at the bears, and they leave. And he says, I've never starved or went without food for this long in my life. Talks about getting nauseous sometimes, lightheaded, you know, some of these things, headaches. I experience those things when I do my survival challenge videos too. So it's interesting, but I've never went like 45 days. Moving forward, it's 11 o'clock, talking about Coulter. He's looking at the camera, up close shot, his beard, his face is black, like charcoal or something, dirty face, and he says, but I don't care. So he goes down, he wants to check the boat. He says, I need to repair the boat. It needs some new ribs. And he said, I want to make sure that the outriggers are safe, that this boat is safe, that this is better. I'm going to need this to launch my gill net. So he's taking care of this boat. And then he talks about living in Alaska a little bit, how you can't just run to the grocery store when you live off grid out, you know, in the bush. There's no doctor out there. If you get a headache, you break an arm or something, you got to take care of stuff yourself. So this is interesting because it just really goes to show that he's experienced for this type of thing. You know, he's used to going without things and doing for himself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So very interesting. And then the boat looks nice. He puts a couple new ribs, tightens up those things that were loose, fixes the outriggers, and he's gonna go set his gill net. And he said something very smart. He said, I'm gonna set this thing 5 feet from the bottom of the lake. So he goes out in his boat and he sets this gill net. Very, very smart. Moving forward, we're still on day 45. It's 3 o'clock. We're talking about clay. He's digging up moss to patch his shelter as well. He's chinking his shelter. And he's putting moss in his landing net that he made. And he's got that thing full. And he says, you know what? I could use this as an archery target for practice. I thought that was smart. He's training. You know, he's staying sharp with this bow. Even though he already got a kill, he's still keeping that skill sharp, which is so smart. So he's practicing, he's doing some shooting, and then he decides he's gonna go set his gill net as well. And he says, I don't have a lot of experience with the gill net. I mean, he's honest about that. And so he decides that he's gonna make a tripod to help launch this gill net. He's gonna do something similar, this clothesline idea. He has a ring. He's got like a ring up there, and the way he built this tripod was very smart. No cordage. He took these logs and he cut like a notch, and then he cut another notch in the other one, and he just corresponded those notches together, and then he put another log leaning up against that, and it's like a friction fit tripod. Very, very smart. So he didn't have to use a bunch of cordage, because I think he's using paracord to launch his gill net. I thought that was so smart. And he sees a duck. And this is a duck that eats fish. He said the name of the duck, but I can't remember what the name of it was. I wrote it down. Merganser duck or something like that. So it's close. It's like 10 yards away. So he's got his bow. He takes his time and he takes a shot. And I thought he hit it. I thought he hit it because the thing went a few feet and then it kind of stayed there for a second. But he says that he had missed, that the arrow went right under it. And then the duck flies off, you know, so he misses it. And he's a little frustrated because let's not forget that Clay's been striking out with fish. He's been really frustrated with that. But when he shot at that duck, I wondered, maybe I'm crazy here, but I was like, what happened to the arrow? Did he retrieve the arrow, or is he down an arrow now? Did the arrow float and come back to the shore? What was the deal with the arrow? You know, I'm gonna guess that it floated and came back and he retrieved it, but I don't know. So we're moving forward to day 46. A little bit after 1 o'clock, we're talking about Teresa here. She's going to go check her fish trap. It's windy outside. There's a lot of waves on the lake. It's choppy water. She sees the fish basket on the beach. The waves kind of beat it up a little bit. It's a little damaged. She gets frustrated. Who wouldn't get frustrated at that? I mean, anybody in their right mind on day 46, and then you find your fish basket like that, anybody I think would get frustrated. So she decides to take it back to her shelter and I think repair it. Moving forward to day 47, a little bit after 7 o'clock in the morning, we're talking about Biko here. He said the wind woke him up like an hour ago and he hasn't been able to go back to sleep. He's praying for a fish. So he decides to go check his gill net. Nothing in his gill net. And he's starting to lose a little bit of hope. He's getting a little emotional. I don't think there's ever been a contestant out there in the history of the show that hasn't gotten frustrated at some point. So we're seeing a little bit of that in Biko right now. He said, I wish my dad was here to give me a pep talk, to give me a pat on the back, to tell me keep moving forward, keep going. You know, he thanks his dad for being a good dad, and he also wants to show his dad how good of a father he can be. He wants to make his dad proud. And he gets a little emotional for a second, and then he snaps back out of it. Moving forward to day 48, 8:53 in the morning, talking about clay. This shot was kind of interesting. It was windy. There was like 25-mile-an-hour winds. And he's out there on the beach, or the rocks, you know, by the lake. And he's pretending to be a weatherman, giving a weather broadcast, all the wind blowing and stuff. It's pretty funny. He goes and checks the gill net. He doesn't have nothing there. And then he starts talking about his son, how he's trying to teach by example. Lead by setting an example. He's trying to teach his son not to give up so soon, to keep trying, that, you know, don't think about the whole thing, you know, break it up into small pieces. And I do that when I teach jiu-jitsu. A very complex technique, or a sequence of techniques that are chained together, you can't just throw the whole thing out there in one thing. It's like a pizza. You can't eat that whole pizza. It won't fit in your mouth. So what do we do to digest it easily? We cut it into slices so that each little piece is more easier to digest. And that's what kind of the concept that Clay's talking about in reference to his son. So very interesting. He said, I want to teach him little steps. There's nothing in his gill net. Moving forward, day 49, 7:30 in the morning, we're talking about Coulter. He said he slept good last night. He must have really needed the rest. Gonna go check the net. He wants to see his family. He plans on not seeing his family this holiday season, obviously because he's out there on the show. And he's out there on the boat, and he's pulling up the gill net, and there's a huge fish, a bull trout, I think. And he's pulling it in, and then you see another fish. He catches 2 huge fish, and he's so excited. Oh my gosh, he was happy, and I was happy for him. Crazy. Bull trout, those things were huge. I bet you those fish were probably 16 to 18 inches long or something. Huge fish. Moving forward, day 50. 50. 50 days out there. I'm talking about Clay. 10:24 in the morning, he finds some, and I don't know how to pronounce this, Matsutake mushrooms. I don't know that species of mushrooms. That's one of my points that I'm not very strong in, is mushrooms. But apparently, he cuts into the mushroom. He says, oh, no worms. And I guess this type of mushroom is considered a delicacy, and they cost more than morel mushrooms. Very interesting. So he has a bag full of mushrooms. So he decides he's going to go check the gill net again. Nothing. This is 5 days now. They launched those nets on 45. It's day 50. Nothing. And this is the start where we're starting to see Clay get frustrated. And who would not be frustrated? You know, it's been 5 days now and you're just praying that this gill net will catch you some food. I think he made his out of paracord as well. I'm not sure. So we're moving forward. 5 o'clock, day 50. Teresa, she was cooking some mushroom soup and it spilled in the shelter. Got in the dirt and everything. But we're survival, right? We're on a survival show. So she gathers it all up, washes it, and makes another batch of soup. Smart woman. Back in the pot it goes. She cleaned it. And then she talked about finding ways to reward yourself out there for every little thing that you accomplish. And then she says, you know, in a normal world, when you do something cool or you accomplish a task, you go out and you get Chinese food, or you reward yourself with food. So she's trying to find ways to reward herself out there for these little victories that doesn't cost food, because food is scarce out there. I thought that was smart. And then she says, my heart will hurt to lose this place. And she's enjoying her moment out there, looking at the stars. She's got this torch and she's running up and down the beach, celebrating some, I forget what the celebration was about, but she is really in a good state mentally. Her morale is sharp right now. It's crazy. Moving forward, day 51. 51. Think about that for a second. Season 1, the winter was 56 days. So we're starting to get into that area. And I'm blown away that on day 51, we still have 4 people left. 1 o'clock, we're talking about Biko. He's lost some weight. He's got his shirt off. He's got tattoos on his body. And he's still got a little fat on him, which is good. He's lost a lot of weight. But he's still got body fat. He says, I don't want to give up. He decides to go get some onions. The gill net isn't working for him. And for the first time in the history of Alone, Biko does something that we've never seen before. Another thing that we've never seen before, because he made a knife. I don't recall anybody ever foraging a knife. So he already did that. Now he takes those onions and transplants them out by his shelter. He's got like this fence of debris, and for the first time in the history of Alone, we're seeing the first garden. So he says, I'm going to have these onions here so that when I want to eat them, I could just come out and pick them. He said it's not much, but it's a first. And that's so true. So for his next meal, when he wants some wild onions, I don't know why I keep saying mushrooms, when he wants wild onions, he can go out there and get it out of his garden. So that's the end of the episode. It was a fantastic episode, and we still have 4 people left going into next week's episode. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So I want to say thank you to everybody out there watching these commentaries. I work hard on these. I watch the show. I pause the show a bunch. I write a ton of notes. If you want to see more episodes or you like this commentary, feel free to jump on my Alone Season 8 playlist. I've got all my commentaries there. And with all that being said, folks, again, thank you for stopping by. Please feel free to leave your comments down below. I love reading your thoughts on this episode. And until next time, again, thanks for watching. We'll see you then. Bye for now. I'm out of here.